The summer and want to gain momentum, I figured it would be a good idea to talk about clarity and what gives us momentum, and how do we get started with a clear mind and our goals to achieve the profits and the money that we get in by the end of the year. So my name is Andrew Lawless. I run the Consultant Profit Machine, and I'm so glad you're here listening. So if you are in a position right now where your inbox flows over, when you work more than 8 hours every day and feel tired at the end of the day, cannot sleep because either you don't have enough clients, or you don't have good enough clients, or too many clients, or too much work to do, then maybe it's time to think about clarity. How much clarity do you have about what is important to you and what is not, what to say no to and yes to? If what happens if you have two good choices or two equally bad choices, and sometimes we have those, right? So where, no matter what decision you make, none of them is like a ideal. So but when you're faced with that, what are you going to do? And if you have these situations more often than you want to, if you feel that you should make more money, if you start resenting some of your clients, or get bored by some of the work that you're doing, then consider getting more clarity. And it's actually easier than we think. It's only most of the time we don't take the time to make the decision in advance what we're going to do and not going to do. So here are some of the questions that I want you to ask here right now, and write them down. And maybe you get clarity here in this session. If not, then maybe after the session, you continue this exercise, think about them, and sometimes we need to mull things over and let thoughts develop, right, as we go. So the first decision that I want you to make about clarity is, what what do you want and what you do you not want. For example, when it comes to your consulting business, do you want to work on site, or do you want to work um, online? Do you want to work with a local audience or a global audience? Do you want to do more like done for you work, or more training and guidance and coaching? Do you, what kind of clients do you want to work with, and who do you not want to work with? And those are very difficult decisions, especially when we do not have enough clients and we could use more revenue, for example, or we do not know how to scale anymore. Um, Beyond our income. We need that clarity. The reason why we get stuck or we plateau is because we are just if we have too many choices, people don't take one. So be very, very clear. So write down for by the way, I have a worksheet here that I'd be happy to share with you if you want it. You can see here there's a number of questions that you can ask yourself to get this clarity. We'll be happy to share that with you, and also share with you the entire system. But for this purpose here of this training, so write down what do you want and what do you not want. For example, for me, it's important that I'm always around my family, right? So that I can work from home, and as I'm working from home, that even if I'm not always present, I'm always there. But it's also important to me that I have the presence for my wife and my son. And my business model is totally structured around it. I have type 1 diabetes, right? So I know that I do not want to be in a position to not pay for my insulin, which just now was voted down by the Republicans. To get capped at 35, so I'm still paying $550 a month for it, right? So, but yeah, I would like to have that ability and not have to stretch that. So there are multiple factors in your life, in your personal life, your health, your relationships, how you want to run your business, the type of clients that you like. That make that decision before it. Write it down. Once you have it, you're going to be cool. You will know exactly what opportunities to say no to and what opportunities to say yes to. When it comes to clients, for example, I, for example, do not work with healers, right? Well, I don't work with angel readers, for example. I don't work with divine goddesses, not because I don't like them. That's the opposite is true. Uh, I just don't speak their language, and I don't gel with that. Yes, so I work with business-minded consultants and coaches. And yeah, if somebody comes in with like a healing business and wants help, um, I may not be the right choice. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. And so you need to have that same kind of clarity. So the first question is, do I want this and I do not want that? Write this down. When you see the recording, stop it here, right? Take a few minutes, play some music, have a cup of tea, coffee, wine, and write it down. Second question is, um, I will do more of this and less of that. So we are all good at taking on new responsibilities. Yes, new projects, new clients, we're developing new products, new processes, new worksheets. I'm guilty of that, right? I'm developing worksheets and new trainings all the time. And the conversation that we have less often with ourselves is, what do we let go of? What is precious and what's expendable? Probably one of the most important questions you could ever ask. And uh, even in very deep political, even religious conversations, that has always been the most difficult to do. And the story that I have in mind that I've learned from one of my trainers, Ron Heifetz, from the Kennedy School of Government at Harvard. He gave that example of the Song of Solomon, right? So he's Jewish. I'm not, but he's Jewish, and so apparently every Friday you sing or say the Song of Solomon in at least in his tribe, and so at one point, what happens to the Romans, back then, when it was back in like around Jesus' time or so, the Romans came into town, and they hated religion, right? So the Jews actually had to move their the service from the church into their homes, and so that also meant at one point they needed to have a book, like a Bible. So the rabbis got together and discussed like what is it that we that needs to be in the book of books and what do we leave out? And the question was like, what is precious and what expendable? And apparently there was this rabbi called Akiva who said the Song of Solomon needs to be in the book of books. And so all the other rabbis go like, wait a minute, it's like it's modern day pornography, right? It talks about how the breasts are shaped as melons, go feed from the lily in the valley, these kind of things. And we're not going to have that modern day pornography in the book of books. And then Akiva made that point that that song is the representation of the manifestation of human life, right? And it needs to be in there, and that's why it's in there. But that was apparently a long discussion with a lot of controversy, and so we have that when we work for ourselves, we do not have those other voices other than the voices within our head. So question is, what is expendable and what is precious? So write this down right now. Is your time precious, your health, your relationship, your sanity, your energy? um, what do you want to do more of? What energizes you? What um, uh, drains your energy? For example, I'm a shortcutter. If you find situations for me where I can shortcut, I go after it all at 100%, and it energizes me. If everything that I need to do that is more bureaucratic drives me nuts. In Ireland once, I needed to fill out an application to get my German driver's license moved to an Irish driver's license. It was a three-page form. I couldn't fill it out. My wife laughed her head off and did it for me so that I could sign. So everything that's like structured and bureaucratic just drains me out. So what do you want to do? What do you want to delegate? Delegation is so important. We take on too much, and we need to be very specific and very disciplined about what we dump or delegate. or to change the task so that we can do it in a way that it suits us. By the way, there's some exercises that I can guide you through if you want more clarity on what you should be doing and should not be doing. I have a flow finder exercise that I'd be happy to guide you through. Just let me know and I'll give you that information um, as well. Okay, another question that you may want to ask yourself is uh, you- what will you do first and what will you do later? Okay, so for example, all the creative work I do in the morning because that's when that's when I roll and my energy and so on. I know that after 4 hours my creativity is gone. So that's when in the afternoon I do everything that is less creative and more like monotone if you want to, or I find ways to delegate that. All right, so I have the entire worksheet here. I'd be happy to share that with you with all the questions that you can ask yourself to get more clarity. The one thing that I want to, before we go, I would want you to have absolute clarity on and develop for you is the idea of what you absolutely must do in order to move your project forward versus what you could do. And most of my clients, when they're distracted or they're stressed out that their productivity goes down, is because they spend too much time on projects that do not move them forward. Give an example from my personal life. When my wife and I built a house in Ireland, at one point you get this architecture blueprint, and like it's very, I needed to look at it and see where things were, and eventually we found the kitchen. So we had a 2-hour conversation about what the kitchen should look like, the flow, in the kitchen, the people flow, how we entertain people, where's, how we move things around, where we store something, and what we want the kitchen to look like. Very meaningful conversation. The only problem was at the time we did not even have the building permission yet. So if we had just focused on filing 10 minutes or spend 10 minutes on filing the building permission, we would have had more progress. Did the conversation help us later on? Yes, but at the time, it took 2 days of our time and we did not advance our project. Now, think about the project that you are having, where may have meaningful conversations, but you have not actually moved a project forward. So, write down for every day what is it that you absolutely must do, not want to do, not like to do, not prefer to do. Look at all your pet peeves, your preferred projects, your side hustles or whatever, as other activities that do not move you forward, blend it out and write down what you absolutely must do to move your project forward. The test for that is if you look at your calendar, if you gave me your calendar and open it for today, and I could not extract what you are working on, then you're not disciplined and you're not focused on what you absolutely must do to advance. So I hope this was helpful. If you want this worksheet here, I'd be happy to share the entire worksheet with you, also the systems to implement those solutions, and let you know where you can have that access. So just drop a note here in the comment box, say clarity, and I will get you the info. All right. So see you next week. Have a good weekend. Bye.